You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
It's so fabulous. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 619, our coverage of Rebuild the Galaxy Part 2, Pieces of the Past. This was something that it's been on my radar to watch, and Jonesy was really pushing me to watch it. He's pushed a lot of other people. I was very thankful that he did because I really enjoyed the first one. And here we are just a few weeks later, now talking about the second one that's come out. And maybe we'll talk about whether or not we think there's going to be a third one that comes out. But to help me break this down, talk about it is, of course, Jonesy. Jonesy, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fabulous, apparently. Yes.
Yeah. If you've seen it, then you kind of know where, my little singing was at the beginning. And
it's quite possibly like the single greatest moment in Pieces of the Past, actually.
Yeah, right.
Sam Witwer, man, he just knocks it out of the park with this role. I just love him. It's like so Darth Maul. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it is like so unlike Darth Maul, but with the voice still the way it is. It's just this weird, perfect dichotomy in the character. He's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Or he's so fabulous, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, he's so fabulous too, right?
Yeah. But you know who's also fabulous, Albert?
Yeah, who's that?
Our amazing Patreon members. So thank you to all of our Patreon members, especially our now part of the tribe folks. Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz. I've got a Brad, Phelan, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike, Risk, Sharkman Dan, and Uncle Leon. And of course, our Delusions Grandeur members. And this is Rod Racing, CJ, Steve, and Rob. CantinaCast.com/Patreon. If you are curious about any of our Patreon content, there's a lot of it out there. We put a lot of it into collections to help you sift through it because I never really counted how many there are. But actually, I think I did count it a while back. It's like 150 or 200. I don't know. It's something ridiculous, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. So a lot of stuff to go through over the years. So thank you all of our Patreon members. Whether you're still a Patreon member or if you were used to be with us, thank you. It means a lot to us. And a special thanks to the folks who come out in the live stream tonight, CantinaCast.com/YouTube. If you'd like to come out and join us in the live stream. So wherever we got Alex Skywalker's Academy 1 for CPU, please come out, say hello. If you watched Pieces of the Past, let us know what some of your favorite moments are. We would love to hear it. Like the video, leave us a comment as well over on YouTube. We love interacting with y'all as well.
Yeah. And hopefully everybody's seen it here tonight because we're going to spoil everything. And hopefully you've seen the first one. I don't know, maybe you haven't. Maybe you're just kind of coming in, picking up the second one.
Does our spoiler anxiety and anger and all of that really apply to these types of shows?
I don't think so.
As a fandom?
I don't think so.
There's pockets
not in
of it, probably.
Pockets, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Pockets will ferment. That's what I've heard.
Hey, before we get started, just want two things. I want to say thank you to my brother, Uncle Alex is what we call him. But he got me this Dathomir, the Halloween Witch, which is part of that Black series. I know there's a big glare on the thing, but if you can see it there, but she's got like a pointed hat too as well.
Right so for those listening, it's kind of like a Saj Ventress, but painted green with kind of a ceremonial looking outfit. He actually posted on Discord, I think, this as well. I didn't realize he was getting it for you though. That's really cool.
So that's cool. So thank you for that. That was my happy birthday present.
Oh, nice.
And then I haven't had a chance to really talk about this. I was out in the woods all weekend and I came back and it's just been a whirlwind. But we got this sent to us. Again, another glare, but this is the deluxe edition of Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover.
Absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, this thing, look at this. I was going to do a video just to kind of show everybody, what it, can you see that
on
there? There you go.
on the pages on the side is painted like this metallic red, and it said this is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker forever. It's got this really glorious acetate kind of plastic cover, as well as some murals both on the inside front cover as well on the back side as well of Anakin becoming Vader on the back, and Anakin and Padme on the front, I believe. Mine was actually cracked on the spine. That was a little bit disappointing, but
oh no,
yeah, that's all right though. I mean, it was still really cool for them to send that. We usually don't get some of these reissue books, so this was really cool. I mean, I appreciate Penguin Random House for sending these over to us.
Yeah. So, and if you haven't read this is not only the best novelization that's ever been done, but it's definitely up there as one of the best books ever written, quite honestly, if you ask me. So if you've not had a chance to pick it up, please pick it up. It's annotated as well, which is just exciting to think about, to kind of see why it was, why he wrote the things he did, why he did the things he did. And on top of all that, there's a lot of stuff that's in this book that never makes it to the movie, but we've always considered it to be canon because it's, a novel, and there's some really deep stuff that happens in that book. So very cool.
It's a must read if you haven't read it. Again, when you talk to any, I think Star Wars person who's read any of the books, like this is usually towards the top, if not at the top of their list, and definitely consider must read. I think from a movie standpoint as well. The rest,
for sure.
Yeah, the rest, I think we have some moments where they might be important, but this is definitely the one that kind of fits the bill across the board.
Yep. All right, let's jump into Pieces of the Past. So, what did you think of this? 4 episodes again, about 25 minutes. After you take out all the intros and outros stuff, it's down to like 22. So it's about a hour, 80 minutes, just over an hour worth of your time. But what did you think about this one compared to the second one? Did you like it?
Yeah, compared with the first one, yeah. It was still really good. I still enjoyed it quite a bit. There were a ton of enjoyable moments. There are some really classic moments, I think, within this too, and some really like cutesy moments. They laid it on really thick though this time with some of the tongue-in-cheek moments and the making fun of themselves a little bit, but it was just a little more forced. I think the tone of this picture was also, or the series was a little bit darker, which again, you could argue, we talked about before we came on air, it's kind of par for the course. Like you go from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back type of thing.
Right.
And it definitely had kind of that shift, but I think it kind of took a little away of the fun. So while I still enjoyed it quite a bit, I still think I liked the first one. Maybe it's that novelty of it's just like kind of in your face and it's different and it's kind of vibrant. And while while the story itself isn't totally unique in any kind of way, the way that they presented our galaxy and our characters in a different galaxy, I think made it kind of interesting and fun. And this one played a little hard into them, but there were some of the introductions of the characters that did not use in the first one and into here, and some of the elements around them, like the pirate captain, Queen Amidala, or pirate Queen Amidala. Like I thought they were just brilliant. They were a lot of fun in those. So definitely still worth the watch, but probably a notch or two below the first season for me. What about you?
I think it was probably about the same for me, but for different reasons too. Because I would agree. Like I actually didn't like the ending very much. It just kind of it felt like it was wrapped up too fast. I mean, by the time I got to the 3rd episode, I thought, holy bananas, there's only 1 episode left, and they've got to wrap up this whole idea that now the whole galaxy is gone.
Right.
So that seemed like it was going to be a real fast change. And of course it was, because they only had 20 minutes left. But even the way it ended, I was just kind of like, I mean, it was cool. It was fine. It was nothing new. It was very predictable. But I was hoping that they would kind of leave something out there or have something, a little bit more, off script in terms of what they've done. Because they've taken so many other liberties with this series, and breaking the fourth wall, introducing, different versions of Lego sets and explaining why, we've got the tall figures and suddenly those are the Goliaths or whatever the hell they called them in the series.
Right.
I thought it was really unique that the way they used some of that stuff. I loved all of the callbacks. This one felt like there were more deep cuts in the dialogue. Just like if you know the movies and you have them memorized, there's so many lines that either were verbatim from the movies or they would just twist slightly some of the wording to make it funny. But I feel like if you're one of those people that really follows all that stuff, you were just having a blast listening to that. I mean, I couldn't stop writing down quotes of things that were being said. And I thought, well, there's probably a lot of people that, don't watch it as much. I can tell you the kids, a lot of this stuff went way over their heads. Like they had no idea what was going on. I mean, they were still enjoying it. They still liked it. My 8-year-old said he loved it. It was the best thing. He said it's the best thing Star Wars has done, which I don't know if that's a compliment or how to take that, quite honestly. But
he's too young for sarcasm, Howard. So
he probably is. But yeah, and then like just the introduction of some of the characters. Like I like the fact that we had Ahsoka Tano. I love that Ashley Eckstein was back as the voice. It was just like, oh, very comforting. Still looked a little weird because she was the little, Lego heads. So that was a little hard to.
The brick heads, yeah.
Yeah, the brick heads, hard
Which
to watch.
Which was part of her story, I think, too, though, about kind of being different and not fitting in. And then you get the Rebels crew at the end to make her feel like back at home.
I enjoyed that a lot.
I bet you
But that was cool. Like Revan coming in was interesting. And I know we're going to talk about Revan here in a second, but man, it feels like it was a wasted opportunity for all the years that they've been teasing, or people have been putting out the rumor, trying to will it into existence that Keanu Reeves would play Revan. I thought they were hiding that because he didn't say anything at the very beginning. I thought, oh, okay, so they're going to come back and he's going to give us like a whoa or something, some very immortalize Keanu Reeves' quote. But from Revan, I thought that was going to happen. He never spoke. And so I was like, oh man, that feels like a really missed opportunity if they couldn't get him just to record like one word and have him finally satisfy the fandom that has always tried to make him Revan. So,
as much, so, me and the media, like, don't really get along very well. And I think a lot of leading up to the show, there were a lot of quotes in the media and the headlines of like making their character debut, like massive character debut in Star Wars in the next series. And all, it was Cal Kestis, or it would be Revan, or it would be, Ahsoka's back in this brand new series. And like they touted this up for a Lego Star Wars movie, not to kind of throw shade on a Lego Star Wars movie, but I mean, we're pretty desperate for like headlines these days, I think, in order to, to kind of tout some of the stuff. But that would have blown the top off things, like Keanu Reeves finally in Star Wars, and it would have been the ultimate clickbait for him to have, one or two words or two lines or something in an animated Lego Star Wars would have been the ultimate, almost like a middle finger to the fandom in some ways, while also appeasing them in some way. It would have been interesting to see the response of that, because some people would have thought, well, now, I mean, this is a canon, but this opens the door. It's ample opportunity. Like, this is really finally happening. They're in the same room negotiating, and who knows where this would have gone. So there's a part of it, it's like, man, what would that have looked like? And the other part's like, oh gosh, please don't do this to me.
One Up says not speaking was a reference to the games. At least that's how I saw it. Yeah, I guess I didn't consider that. Well, he does. Well, I guess a reference to KOTOR 1 and 2, but then by the time he gets to SWOTOR, he actually speaks. And so maybe that's where I wasn't thinking that. But yeah, that makes sense, because, you are playing that as a first person. Spoiler alert.
Even Sig makes the joke, like, Darth Revan, not as familiar with your work. Right? Guessing Old Republic. So it just kind of, again, a little tongue in cheek of not everybody understands where some of these characters come from, and they're a little deeper cuts.
Yeah. Even
Jackson, like, calls himself a deep cut.
Yeah, right.
And Holy Hutch and things like that,
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I said, I liked it. I did enjoy also the like the intro stuff, right? It would change the what is it called? I lost my train of thought because I was looking at something else down here.
The intro, like where they're flashing the helmets and stuff.
Yeah, all that changed. And then when we got to that fourth episode, when everything was gone, it was just Solitus himself. Right. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, they really are. I mean, there was a lot of time and thought and effort that went into just changing this up to make it different. So that was enough to kind of really, kind of keep it going and linking things up and showing that this wasn't the same exact rinse and repeat of the first one, which was cool.
Yeah, and I kind of liked with episode 1, they started off with the crawl, and they have Sig reading the crawl. Mm-hmm. And he's like, wait a minute, just scrap this. This is taking too long. Let me just tell it. And he starts jumping around. And it's kind of that ADHD version of Star Wars to an extent that really epitomizes the character in some ways. And it was a nice spin on the crawl while giving you everything you need to know, and each character kind of piping in a little bit as he goes along. I thought that was another nice spin on the opening crawl for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that was one of, I think, 2 places where that fourth wall was broken. So it was cool to see that they did that. Let's talk about, I guess, some of the other stuff as we kind of chronologically maybe go through some of the stuff, like the fact that we got Asajj Ventress and the Day Sisters versus the Night Sisters. That was really good.
And Nika Futterman, of course, reprising her role. Yep.
I was hoping she'd be more in this episode, or the series, the second part. But
yeah, but it was
she had a kind of limited amount of time.
Yeah, and she was riding Rancors. I thought that was really cool, and you got to kind of see him in action,
And that I made a note that there's so many of these characters that are now, like, it feels like we need cosplay people doing them, right? Like, to see a Day Sister Asajj Ventress at Celebration would be really cool. To see, like, the Luke Skywalker, someone's going to do it. Somebody's going to do this, but there's so many great characters now, variations that you could do for cosplay type stuff at celebrations or conventions or wherever else, that I'm really looking forward to seeing who does what and who pulls it off. I can't pull off any of these except maybe, again, the Cassian Andor one, but that was, again, limited.
So the guys at work are trying to convince, there's a few guys at work trying to convince everybody to bring back Hawaiian shirt Thursdays and stuff, which I'm not really in favor of. But I will say this, give me a Chapor snippet necklace and a Luke Skywalker like Hawaiian shirt, and I'll consider it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's see what else we get. We get an update that there's some respect there being thrown towards Jedi Bob. That he's now Master AFOL or a fan of Lego or whatever the acronym is there.
Right.
There was it Luke Skywalker who said the best teachers make horrible mistakes, or was that just something that he said? I forget now, but that was where it was one moment where whoever said it, I thought, wow, that's a little bit deeper. Like there's actually some meaning in that, because when we get down to like what Star Wars is about, and making mistakes and everything that happened with The Last Jedi and all that was kind of hitting at that. Although they did take a cheap shot at themselves with The Last Jedi here in just a little bit, but it was interesting that they had some moments in there like that where it wasn't always fun and games.
When Jedi Bob says that if he's going to go meditate, and if he
yeah,
if you just see a pile of clothes, he just did it too hard.
Right. Yep. And then I thought they were going to play up the Landalorian and Grogu a lot more than they did, which they didn't, which is actually good, because I think that they had some moments in there later on where they were they had longer pieces of content, and it was good to kind of see them turn around to be the good guys in the end. But I was worried that we were going to be too heavily focused. But there was another.
They weren't the good guys in the end. They didn't get paid,
right,
and so they turned on the enemy. Whoever was for hire.
Yeah, it's typical Mandalorian stuff.
I was actually worried, like when we did the first one, and I think when you and I wrapped up, we were talking, and you had said you kind of heard that he wouldn't be in, like that Billy D wouldn't be in. We wouldn't get as much Landalorian and that kind of stuff. I was actually surprised and very pleased with the amount that Landalorian was in the episodes, because I thought it was a fair amount, pretty good chunk of episode 1. And then I think we see him reprise a little bit later on as well. So as sprinkling in, and then kind of, it brought him back in at the end. So I thought it was actually pretty well done the way they did it. And he was very kind of dry sense of humor and amusing, I thought. So he played the part perfectly once again.
Yeah. And he did he did sound pretty good too. I mean, he's had his voice is really kind of going, and bless his heart. We've all seen him now. So as far as where he's at, but he did a pretty good job on recording his voice for this one. And there was kind of a slight plug, I think, for Mando and Grogu movie. Did it again. There was a line in there where someone says, "Would love to see more of that little guy," when they're talking about Grogu, and they just kind of leave it hanging there. I'm like, oh, okay, that's like a plug for the movie that's coming up, I guess.
That was a grown moment.
I mean,
there were a couple moments
full
like
of
that.
grown moments. The whole movie's a grown moment.
Well,
right?
but there's some that are like obvious, kind of like those types of moments. You're like, oh, we didn't need that. Come on, let's not commercialize this more than we really need to. Yeah, we all know Mando and Grogu is coming.
I was cracking up on the battle ball when they had named it the battle ball.
Hilarious. Yeah.
It
wasn't until like Kelly Marie Tran, like absolutely like went all in on this part. She was fantastic. Like her energy and anger, like she was just so pissed off all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Which, I mean, again, you kind of think of the meta part of that, of like, you can only imagine some of the frustration Kelly Marie Tran has probably had with Star Wars over the years, and to kind of unleash it in a certain way, and this dark side kind of thing. It just, I mean, I know she probably wouldn't admit to some of that stuff, but it's kind of fun to think about that in a joking kind of way and in a fun way. And she just leaned in it heavily. She was just always so angry about everything. She just wanted to kill everything.
I know. And it's I mean, big on her, right? For what she went through with the fandom and all of that, and, leaving social media and having just the, I mean, there's something to be said that, look, okay, she got paid, and I get that, but still, she didn't have to come back. I mean, they brought in tons of other people to voice some of these characters, and yet she did that. So I think that says a lot about her character, and I don't mean that, literally. I mean that about her personally. So
yeah,
good on her for doing all that. But let's see, what else did I have in here? I have a lot of quotes, and I don't know if they're worth talking about. But the one about I know what it feels like to be a brave little droid. I think that was it Servo that said that or something? Yeah, referring to, to kind of a, R2D2 kind of thing. We talked about the whole escape.
Brave Little Droid, wasn't that a book? Wasn't that was that was Charles Soule's daughter,
child book or whatever it was. Yeah. Or Charles Soule and his daughter's book.
Is that right? Okay,
yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. And then also kind of felt like, I don't know, like Thomas the Tank Engine type of thing, or brave little engine that, those types of things that you concoct in your mind. I'm probably, conflating a lot of things here, but, our childhood.
Not mine, but maybe yours.
Mine was very positive and uplifting. I
had no Thomas the Tank in my childhood.
Well, I didn't either, but I mean, just those types of little engine that could. There we go. Is the one I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Like I said, I'm conflating my trains. I love trains, but I can't keep straight.
What did so there was a moment there where I had like a oh my god freak out moment when they were in the battle ball or Death Star and they actually pulled back and you saw the Lego set. And I thought, holy bananas, are they going to go through every section? And they did. That was so great that they went through every section almost as like a plug to go out and buy that somewhere, you know, for $1,000 or whatever it sells for. But it was really neat. I really enjoyed them going through every piece of that thing, like the way they did.
It was so much fun. Like it was just one of those kind of unexpected moments of like actually going through each room and you know a joke in each one as well. And it was just fun. It was something unique, right? Of just like how do you do a chase scene that's a little bit different? That's very Scooby-Doo like, you know, running in and out of the doors and stuff as you go through the mansion. And it just felt like it was just leaning right into that. And that set is like the perfect landscape, you know, to be able to do it. It was so great. It was also during that scene, it was the first time I noticed that the Dark Falcon, they used different models of the Falcon, like depending on what scene they were in. So they would go all the way down to the teeniest, tiniest little MIDI, like they call them MIDI or MIDI, like sets, like the little tiny ones that you can make that fit in the palm of your hand.
Oh, really?
To like
I didn't
the
catch
micro,
that.
yeah, to like the micro fighters, the one where you have the like I've got a micro fighter of the Ghost here, like this kind of size.
Yeah.
You would notice this. They had all sorts of different models of the Falcon depending on what size the set was, which I thought was really cool. It wasn't always the big detailed one with the red back. And you could see that like one had a dome on the top that was really smooth. Sometimes you can only see two of the little red lights in the back instead of, you know, the long
whole thing.
Yeah, the long engine.
Wow, that's interesting.
Whatever.
I didn't catch that. Yeah, that's awesome.
It was really neat to see all the different models, and they were very subtle about it. But whenever you noticed it, you started to know, I think I counted like at least 3 or 4 at the very least. There may have been more, but it was just really cool to see them work those in depending on the size of the set.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, we talked about this in the first one. It's just like playing with it. Like just not only the figures and the way they pose and kind of jump weirdly and things like that, but also just the style of the ships and the things you had based on what your set was. So kind of a little something for everyone there. It was pretty neat.
I kid you not, when I was watching it and they went through the whole Death Star and they escaped the Death Star, I was like, oh, they're going to blow it up. And they didn't at first. And I thought, oh, that seems weird that they wouldn't have gone. And then as I was thinking that, whole sequence was like all done in the matter of like 3 seconds. He had to go back and shoot the missiles and blow the whole thing up. And that was perfect. So
wasn't really a big deal. Anybody could do it, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, so everybody's like, wait a minute, I got to go do something real quick. All right, got that done. Let's go.
Yeah. It was not 1 in a million. That's for sure.
Right.
What did you think about the concept of the Force hold? Like, I mean, I get it. I know it's just Lego and it won't ever be beyond that. Just like there was the dyad and now we've got what was it?
Yeah, the myriad.
Myriad is what they call it. Yeah.
Those were a couple of moments that were like more grown in the negative way for me. But the other part, it was unique and different, right? It's basically another realm. It's the wastelands, effectively, right? So it's not all that different from what they did in Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's exactly the same kind of concept there.
Yeah, so I thought it was cool. I mean, it was a little convenient. They can move in and out, but I mean, you kind of expect that in a series like this. So, you know, I thought it was cool. And again, they kind of sent the different messages of how do you get in and out of, you know, the break build type of thing, the joining of the Force. You need both sides, and that's how you can access some of these areas. And again, when someone goes away and is kind of tormented and bored and access to a lot of resources, apparently, then you know they can come up and do crazy things, the Sith, when they're motivated to do it. So
yeah.
I thought overall it was not a bad idea. Again, very Deadpool Wolverine-ish, and that worked well enough in the movie. So why not here? And I thought it worked just as well.
Yeah,
it was a little back and forth at times for me, but you know, no issues at all with that. I thought it was fun.
No, I did too. Let's talk about Dan Stevens, who is the actor that plays Darth Solitus. I thought he did a great job. Like
his voice is something special, man.
His voice is great. You know, the character was like actually evil at times and, you know, funny at times. I like the character design. You know, I don't know if they'll ever canonize him like in the movies or not. I doubt that, since his name was Solitus, and you know that was kind of the whole point, was that he'd been alone for so long.
Right.
But that was a great character. Like I really enjoyed that character, and it's unfortunate because it feels like he is gone if they ever do a third one. Maybe not. But yeah, what did you think? I thought he was great.
Yeah, I did. I liked the character as well. And again, it's that master and apprentice and the failure. I mean, some of the story, just to peel back a little this for everyone, is Soltis was Jedi Bob's master, and he was going down the dark path, pursuing power, and he needed Jedi Bob, to help build while he broke, to open the Force hole, which would give him exposure to, basically unlimited power, so to speak.
Yep.
And Bob pushed him through the Force hole when they opened it because he was afraid that he would become too powerful and he was too far gone. And so that message kind of permeates throughout the episode, right? Especially with Sig and Dev. Sig still believes he can save Dev. Bob thinks that Dev's a lost cause, of course, which is a lot of his projection of what he believes, and also his failings as a teacher, so he wouldn't want to teach Dev, and so so on and so forth. So it's about kind of Sig and Dev, or really kind of Dev's journey of trying to figure out how to lean into this relationship he's resisting so much, but also Bob kind of recognizing his failings and understanding he's got a way forward, and that people are worth saving and people can change, like Dev in particular. Like he believes Dev's going to betray them and all of that. So, that's super high level, of course, but that's the kind of the basic story that they're following, and you can kind of take it from there and see generally how you would think it would play out. Generally, is kind of how it plays out.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a big. I didn't realize it at the time, but when he was announced that he was going to be in the series, the circles that I'm in with some of like the Raylo community cross over into Downton Abbey, and you can probably figure out why. I don't know, maybe, may not, but so I get a lot of Downton Abbey updates on my feeds for whatever reason, because
I really don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, I know. The point is, when he was announced, everybody was like going crazy, and I thought like the Star Wars people that had that liked both were freaking out. I didn't really even think about it until come to find out he was on Downton Abbey, and so that's where he made it. Everybody was so excited about it. But yeah, I thought he did an outstanding job.
A great villain, and like you said, really good delivery of amusing lines, like throughout it. That just kind of deadpan delivery, and also just that little smirk.
Yeah,
of what he's doing. So I thought, man, and again, that voice is just so resonant, and the way they played it up a little bit. So he did a really great job, and I thought he was actually a pretty worthwhile villain.
On those flashbacks, did you catch that they went to a 4:3 format?
I love it. Yeah, they had the so they had the oh gosh, what are the lines called? Oh,
the scan lines.
Yeah, scan lines back in the old interlaced
CRT days.
Yeah, 480i baby.
Yeah, exactly.
That type of thing. And they actually did stereo sound too, and they dropped the bass out, so they cut out the lower frequencies. So it was like watching on an old TV.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit of a. They had some fuzziness too going on there, like VCR resolution.
They did, yeah. It was fantastic. Something else I noticed that I didn't notice. I didn't see this in the first season, but when they did close-ups of the figures, and I noticed this specifically on Sig,
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
On Sig, and then I noticed it on Servo too. You can see thumbprints, like fingerprints, on the figures, especially where there would be a sticker.
Yeah, it was it was Sig that I noticed it, because you're right. I didn't notice anything like that in the first one. Yeah,
the first scene, I think at the beginning, you see you have a real up close picture of him, and then you see a little bit with Servo just a little bit later when you're really up close on him too. But yeah, you can clearly see fingerprints.
So I mean, just the level of detail and attention to detail here is kind of cool.
Each scene is kind of eye candy in its own way. If you want to go dig for things, you will probably find something, and you could probably make a list of 100 things at least.
So I have the introduction of Chewbacca was pretty fun. I have a couple of those figures. I don't have the Chewbacca one, but I've got like Vader. I've got Obi-Wan. I've got like the Snoke's guards, or red ones, or whatever those guys were.
Yeah, the Praetorian guards.
Yeah, the Praetorian guards. I have a Shore Trooper as well from that set. But those really, I don't see those very often these days. I don't know if they still make them or not.
I don't think they do. Yeah, I've got the Shore Trooper. I think maybe not a Dark Trooper, but a Death Trooper. I think I may have made a Black Stormtrooper at one point. I can't remember. I've got one or two others, but yeah, they fall apart really easily.
They're very fragile.
Yeah, they are, and I don't think they're doing those anymore. They just turned out not to be as popular.
But nonetheless, it was cool that they brought those back in and turned it into like, they put the story behind it. Like, okay, these things are really tall. They really are actually kind of tall. And so that became the Goliath figures, or whatever they called them.
Yeah, the Chewbacca one was almost like an Ultimate Collector series, whereas the K2 was more akin to that kind of Technics type of style, right? And but it was nice to be able, you get all kind of the different Lego line, and you could pose that however you want, but you get the brick heads like we talked about earlier, but then you also get these larger ones, so you can kind of see the product line a little bit in some ways, which was fun to see. And again, they just add different dimension to the rest of the sequences and what presents a risk and how do you get rescued. And I think even the Rancor was still a Lego model Rancor that Asajj Ventress was riding, although much larger. I don't think they've ever produced anything that large. I think the biggest ones they've made have been, just like extra large minifigs, basically.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, and they're kind of going back to the roots if you think about it, right? Because there was a lot of criticism that came the way of from George Lucas during Return of the Jedi, and then when the prequel trilogy came out, that those movies were just to sell action figures, and so this was another, a way. If you look at it from that perspective, this was a way to introduce everybody to all the different Lego lines and sets that they've got. Some that are still in production, and obviously some that are not. So back to the roots in that way. Let's see what else. Ashley Eckstein showing up. I know we talked about her. The music, though, they played Ahsoka's theme when she came on for the first time, which was great. They did it again later for, who was it that they did that with? They brought somebody on. I made a note of it here. And when it was Cal Kestis, the music from the game was played for him. And was it Snoke? I forget. There was somebody else when they came on that they played that music. But
no, with Padme, they did Across the Stars as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that if they did.
Yep.
I've got it somewhere in here. But anyways, yeah, good stuff there. The fact that she was there and that we got to see her and the voice and all that. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I've ever shown this. I think maybe I have. It's usually behind me. But this is almost identical to the Sith holocron that they had in the movie or the cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've ever done. I'm sure they have. Yeah, I guess they have. They've done a Sith holocron Lego piece, if I'm not mistaken.
They've actually done that one.
Yeah. So I saw it and I was like, hey, that looks really cool.
Yeah. So to touch on the Snoke one, just before we leave and maybe not have a chance to come back to it, they were going to do like a pit of carcoon type of thing where they were going to toss everyone into, and we jumped a little bit here, but they call it a Snoke pit though. Instead, they just found these Snoke clones and they just threw them into this pit and they just kind of circle around it. And again, you talked about tongue in cheek at the beginning, or kind of jokes at our expense kind of thing, and Last Jedi in particular. And they asked, but who's Snoke? And they're like, it doesn't really matter. So,
right.
Pretty fitting, actually.
Yeah. No, I like it. I love when they do that stuff because it diffuses a lot of things in ways, in the best ways, right? Anytime you can.
It shows we can make fun of ourselves.
Yeah.
And
not take it too seriously.
Not only as the content, but even as fans, like, some of the things we get angry about, like we should really just kind of, we should be able to turn it on ourselves and laugh at ourselves a little bit about how crazy we get about some of this stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of getting crazy about stuff, have you checked on Mike Rondo?
Yeah, I talk to Mike most days.
Because they had the Purrgil, which were porgs.
The Porrgils. Yeah.
Porrgils. And I thought, boy, if there's two things that guy hates, it's porgs and Purrgil. And they've combined the two, so we need to check on him. I mean, sure, he's probably keeled over somewhere if he caught wind of this. If not, I'm going to go ahead and send him a link so he can watch this. But I thought that was great that they used the porgs for that.
And it was like some weird blend of an audio track for them too. It was very odd.
No, really, I've only seen it I've seen it twice. Once was just to watch it, and then the other time was to take notes. And some of the stuff might have escaped me, but
yeah.
Cameron Monaghan is back as Cal Kestis. We mentioned him earlier. He had
really
one line.
Not really a significant part. Yeah. But
no, he did.
Cool,
I mean, I'm glad they brought him back after, they went back into the force hold or whatever. But
yeah,
he had that one line of game over, which
game over,
which is like, part Aliens reference and part fact that he's, a video game character.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. The show wasn't afraid to borrow from other content. Like Billy D. Williams later on says works every time.
Yeah.
Which is a total Core 45 reference.
Core 45 works every time.
Yeah.
I have this written down and I don't remember where it was, but there's at one point somebody is talking and they reference something like being what are they called? What are the monkeys called?
The Kowakian monkeys.
Kowakian monkeys. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's one in the background. He's sitting there watching and listening. When he makes that, his shoulders and everything slumps and he just walks off the screen because he's, hurt because they're making fun of his species to make a point in that speech. And I thought, I just died. I thought that was the funniest thing ever because no dialogue is said and it happens so fast. But that poor little guy just got.
And if memory serves, he's sitting on a barrel.
Yeah, I think so. Like monkeys on a barrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff, you got to really pay attention for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see what else do we have here. We talked about the Force die-up. We got the hello there from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. So it's evil Obi-Wan Kenobi, and James Arnold Taylor did reprise the role.
Back. Yep.
Which it was kind of cool seeing him engage with Ahsoka as well with Ashley Eckstein. So that was pretty neat too. But he also at the very end when he kind of got sucked into the Force hold was like goodbye.
Goodbye there.
Goodbye there. Goodbye. Yeah, whatever it was.
Instead of hello there, yeah, because he's disappearing. He's goodbye there. They brought back Revan's lightsaber. His lightsaber has got such a unique sound to it. It's very, very cool. I'm glad they brought that back into it. I made a note of that. And then the part that just made me almost vomit was the whole thing about Greedo and Leia getting married and all that. I'm like, what in the world? Like, who wrote this? Like, it was so disgusting.
You were probably cheering when Greedo sacrificed himself and got sucked away. You're like, finally,
yes,
this clown is gone.
And then what happened to me later on when he came back, I was like, oh my goodness, I was so mad. I thought he was like dead and he didn't. That's really gross. So why would she marry that guy?
Did you know there was a Mara like name drop in the episode as well when Yessie is calling the Alliance from the Falcon?
Yeah.
She's just like rolling out like question of names and like she's like, Mara? So Mara Jade.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. And then there was a figure in like when all of the troops were kind of assembled towards the end of the series in episode 4, there's a character in a white outfit with like long, kind of like strawberry blonde hair. And I couldn't quite figure out what character that was supposed to be. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be maybe Cian Holt from the High Republic series or if it was supposed to be maybe one of the Skywalkers or maybe Mara Jade. It didn't have the red hair like a Mara Jade would, but I couldn't quite figure out who that character was supposed to be. But they showed her on screen a couple of times. I just couldn't quite figure out who it was. But I did. There were a couple name drops just only where non-canon characters got brought forth. I mean, this show was full of non-canon characters, of course, but.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to go back and watch that. I didn't catch that. At one point too, I meant to go back and look at it again, but I almost swore that they had the white Revan shown at the very beginning. He's almost like in the Force stasis, like just not moving, but he's in the background. But that's neither here nor there. I just thought about that. Let's see what else do we have on the Solstice versus the Jedi. I like that fight a lot. I like the fact that just about every one of Emperor Palpatine's lines were some take on his original lines. You'll find it is you who are mistaken about a great many things and a surprise, but a welcome one for sure. I mean, he just keeps quoting himself from the movies with slight variations where it makes sense.
And they kept like the Sith growl when he does the little spiral
yeah, showing them spin too. Like nothing changed with this character.
Whatever the weird cry is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Palpatine was better in this season than he was last season. He was kind of a whiny little jerk in the last one. Yeah. But this one, he had a little more charisma to him. And I think these lines,
leadership skills.
Oh, well, yeah, whatever. But still, like these moments, like his tongue-in-cheek quotes and rephrasing of the quotes actually were pretty like amusing and comical. They worked pretty well for how he was putting them in there. And he was like, they had the character smiling when he said it too, which probably just added to it.
Yeah. I love that the Skywalkers all came together at some point there, and they were just kind of like their own little family. And they make some jokes about that a little bit later. But Hamill saying, "I have a really good feeling about this," and then, "Oh, I meant bad." I mean, they just kind of. I mean, he was one of the producers too. I think we mentioned that on the first breakdown. But I like the fact that he came back and he was one of the main producers of this series. So,
well, at one point he said, finally, nothing tragic is going to happen to the Skywalker family."
Right.
And then all the bad stuff shows up.
And then all the bad stuff happened. The Sarlacc pit, the re-filming of that, only at the desert and with the water and all that. Yeah. The fact that they kept holding on the thump, bump, and they kept showing people, and it just kept going and going and going. They wouldn't play like the Return of the Jedi song. I thought that was hilarious as well.
Very Family Guy-ish.
Yeah, right. They just kept extending that. I mean, and then it gets silly because then we get into the whole, Catherine Tabor comes back, as we said, as Amidala, the moral high ground versus the actual high ground. They make a reference to that.
Yeah. The pirate's life was not for me. We got into a fight. Yeah. I had the moral high ground. She had the actual high ground.
I mean, and then Luke in his bikini. I'm like, what in the?
They were swim shorts.
Oh, it's still whatever. Shorts. Bikini suit. whatever.
Yeah.
It was.
What about R2D2, the Buccaneer
right.
droid?
Yeah.
He had a
I thought
peg
it was
leg.
great. I liked him at the very end too, when he like suddenly just went out there and turned himself into a spaceship and was going around.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
looked
Starship
like
blowing up stuff.
He looked like B2 from the, I know we kind of mentioned 000 and B2 before in the last one, but
Yeah.
R2 went like full on B2
Yeah, yeah.
in this one from the comics.
The BB wing. I'm sure that made Rondo turn over in his grave.
Yeah, the BB wing
times.
was pretty. I thought it was actually kind of neat.
Yeah. Speaking of which, when they attacked Solitus, we had the BB wings check in, R2D2 as a ship. We got the nice shot Sky Guy, so reference to Clone Wars. The try spinning, which is a joke that Alex, if he's still on here, you know, that was thinking about. Alex just asked, was there no Skeleton Crew references? There were a couple things that were like not on there. Like I didn't catch any Acolyte references. The only thing we had from Skeleton Crew was what's his name, Neil.
Yeah, Neil was in there actually.
But
yeah.
beyond that, it was pretty thin on the Skeleton Crew stuff. So,
And you know, the character I was talking about before, the female character, long hair, white outfit, was actually there in that scene with Neil. Like they were like side by side.
Yeah. Was it when they were kind of hovering behind some kind of a barrier or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. But again,
I have to go back and watch that again. I was so focused on Neil when that happened. I didn't really even look at anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. And honestly, I don't know what kind of Skeleton Crew reference would you kind of make, you know?
I mean, they could have put
That
the
would
Onyx
be-
Cinder. I mean, that's the most obvious one because of the Lego ship and the fact that it was leaked before the series came out, or you know, I don't know.
Maybe. But if you change the name of it, would enough people kind of get it, I guess. But
Yeah.
that would be interesting. Same with Acolyte. Like there's probably some jokes in there, but would they have, you know, resonated?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not for the audience, the targeted audience, but
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff is just so, like, it's just so ingrained in us for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of Easter eggs, make no mistake, but some of the stuff is just so ingrained, which is obvious for the most part. If you've been around Star Wars for 10 or 15 years, you kind of know it pretty well. We haven't talked about Snow City yet. So instead of Cloud City,
we
Snow
skipped
City.
over it. Yeah, we skipped over that because that was the whole. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous.
Yeah, we kind of led into it. You have Darth Maul, or I guess there's Maul in his little snow jacket outfit, speaking with Queel. And of course, you get this is not the way and all of that stuff
Right,
too.
yeah.
But he just keeps talking like every day's a snow day. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous to the tune of Duel of the Fates. And man, I just want to, like, I need Sam Witwer to just sing Duel of the Fates, saying it's so fabulous.
I mean, he's going to be asked from here on out to do that now. You know, the people are going to do that.
He just talks so fast. It's like, did they splice that together and speed it up? Or is he actually doing the dialogue that fast? Because
I'm sure he is. I'm
he's
sure
just
he's doing
rolling it off,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But then he gets sucked in the dark hole and he's gone. But he
We're
goes
getting to the end here with so the one thing that was so obvious and like I didn't even think about it until it happened was Jar Jar coming back with the legs.
Yeah.
Because he got cut in half. I did not suspect they were going to bring him back and put him in the spider legs, but I'm glad they did because man, that was super creepy to see him. And then, you know, of course it was what's his name doing the voices all over again for Jar Jar. But did a great job. Yeah, Ahmad Best. It was really good to hear him do all that. And his lines were same thing, kind of like Vader or kind of like Palpatine, where they were a lot of rehashing of his lines from, you know, the prequel trilogy, but slight variations and all.
Oh, one other thing that we that was on there, I want to make sure you caught it. Did you look at the Razor Crest? What the Razor Crest actually was?
No.
It was the Razor Crest main body, but the back tail of it was the N1 Starfighter.
So they gave it like a hybrid kind of thing.
It was a hybrid. I'm pretty sure there was a little thing. It's hard to see it because the angle.
Like I imagine like I can see the front side and maybe the side, but not so much the back. It might have been in just a couple scenes, huh? Yeah.
It was just one or two, I think. But yeah, the angle was a little bit strange. But I'm like 99% sure it was both the Razor Crest and an N1. It was also this blue color. I don't know why that was the case, but it was a hodgepodge of the two vehicles. So it was kind of an homage to both. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah. And then the last, like I said, we're kind of at the last episode. And as much as I liked the whole series, there just wasn't a whole lot that was really like surprising. I mean, we had like, you know, the Dark Troopers showing up. We had the B1 battle droids and the B2 showing up.
Jen Erso is also a Darth. She's the one that created the battle ball.
And they don't spend much time on it. They're just like, oh, it's Jen Erso. I'm like, wait, what? That's it. All you got was just that one quick reference.
Yeah.
Did you catch Hunter and Wrecker in there as well? It feels like they just popped up out of nowhere.
I want to say I saw him. I didn't write him in my notes though.
Yeah,
I mean, I've noticed him the second time around.
I think they show Hunter twice, and then there's only one shot of Wrecker, and it's clearly Wrecker because he's got his helmet on.
I saw Omega though. Like Omega's in there.
Oh, really? I didn't catch her.
She's in like one of the very last scenes. She's kind of like front and center.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. So I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like they had, they covered the Bad Batch, they covered the Clone Wars, and all the other series that we've talked about, but. For whatever reason, they left out Skeleton Crew. Well, no, they had that one. I guess they left out Acolyte, so I don't know what that says about the show, but
well, at least that we noticed, yeah. And
noticed.
And we did see Rebels later on too, because they had the Brickhead version of who they had.
It was Ezra, Sabine, and Hera.
Yeah, exactly those three.
Yeah. That was when they got reunited, or when she got reunited with her own kind.
Right. No Chopper, because he would have stole the show and also committed a bunch of war crimes.
Yeah. But let's see. So Bad Batch, we talked about them. May the Force be with you, and he freaks out because he's like, he said it. He said the thing, because I think that's the only time that we've heard them say it. Is it?
I think that at least this season, I think it was the only time. Yeah, Mark Hamill says it.
Yeah,
or Luke Skywalker says it. Yeah,
and then it turned into the whole thing about family, which is good because we've talked about Star Wars, and that's at its core. That's what we've always, at least I've always felt like that's what Star Wars was about family. So nice to see them kind of return to that theme.
I loved Servo's like, I'm on an emotional journey.
yeah.
Like I want to experience all the emotions and that kind of thing. It was just, again, Servo, man, so much energy. And for some people, it might be a little bit much, but I thought he was just such a breath of fresh air to kind of liven up. Because again, the show was a little bit darker and a little bit more tonally serious. And again, a lot of lighthearted moments, but Servo like really kind of pulled you out of it a lot of times, and also kind of brought that heart to it. His little relationship with Viper, the probe droid, he probed the depths of his heart or whatever, that type of thing. And but I thought Servo was again kind of a nice little linchpin to bring us on his journey of exploring emotion. His spiritual journey.
I don't mean to cross the streams, but when I watched that, what I thought of was Data from Star Trek, because something very similar where he's kind of going through when they put the emotion chip in him, that episode, or I think it was a couple of episodes when he was going through all the different emotions.
Yeah,
it's similar to that.
Yeah, it's exactly what I thought it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like at the very end too, when everything was dire and Ahsoka ran off, I thought, oh, she's going to go get Chewbacca. Of course she did. She came back, brought Chewbacca. So I say like it was very predictable by that point, but I mean, the whole series was just fun to kind of, you didn't really care at that point.
Yeah. Alan Tudyk, of course, reprised his role as K2SO.
Yeah. He did he always does a great job, but to hear the different emotions that he was conveying as K2SO was really cool to see or hear. Yeah,
you still got that dry humor, even though he was a bad guy and he was joking or Darth Salatis was joking like, in some galaxies you're a good guy, and he just kind of laughs it off. But it was just cool. He still had that dry wit and humor to him, even though he was evil. Even though he was evil.
He was evil. At the very end, we got the second breaking of the fourth wall when I think Luke turns over and talks about parsecs and not being a measurement of, speed versus all that. The whole debate that we've had
time and all that.
For years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Greedo lived, which was gross. Really wasn't expecting that.
Leia's happy. There was no Han Solo in this time.
Yeah. That's so dumb. They should have had Han Solo.
They did. It was Greedo Solo.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Touche, my friend. There was also, and we talked about this, and again, me, I always put way too much into things that aren't really there. But Kelly Marie Tran's character, Darth Tico, says as the villains leave, she makes a comment of like, I wish there were only two of us, referring to the rule of two. And I thought, okay, well, if they had to go back and do a third movie, maybe it is focused around her and her anger and, killing everybody off and establishing the rule of two in some way. But I can't beyond that. I don't know how they would pick up a third movie. Like who would be the main bad, because it did feel like Solitis was gone. They've got like you said, the Darth characters have all left. And maybe they start the Brotherhood, or I don't know how far they're going to go down with that, since they've already opened up Revan. But I don't see where this thing goes at this point. Like where, if they wanted to bring back a third movie, do you think they would bring it back and do a third movie, come back and do a third?
Well, I mean, if this thing's getting really positive reviews, so I think they're probably interested in it and trying something new. But again, it would be a different story. I think this one was a natural pickup because we know we left off with Sig and Dev, unresolved issues. There seemed to be something more with Jedi Bob, and we got that. But all of those all resolve, right? So Dev's a good guy now. The brotherhood is back, or the brotherly bond is now kind of reforged. Everybody's kind of hunky dory, and they're all getting along and rebuilding the galaxy in the way that it should be, right? But we still have that villainous presence. So again, I think you're still going to have the same villains coming back into it. Maybe they start moving towards something of a rule of two. I doubt that, to be honest with you, but because they want to maximize all of like what they have at their disposal. But they've used a lot of characters now. So what do you do before it starts feeling a little bit tired, right? And the newness wears off. So I don't honestly know. They'd have to come up with a fresh story, I think, to do some of this. And it was cool seeing some really drop-in characters like Jackson, who's a dark horse favorite, so to speak.
Right.
Just a legacy character back from the original series has been brought back in. Of course, Kevin Scott's a huge fan of his, so it's kind of cool seeing that live action. And he believes in the carrot and the stick, but mostly the stick type of thing. But also he's a little bit of a jumpy coward at the same time. But
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The story, it would have to be something new, I think, and a bit more fresh, I think, than what we had here, because we're just kind of running out of the main characters.
Yeah, I think they'd have to branch off. Like we didn't get Thrawn. At one point I was thinking, wow, what if they, since they already brought Jackson, I mean, it feels like a stretch, but maybe Marchion Ro, or they bring something from the High Republic into the third one. That again, now you're talking about characters that people are really deep cuts for some folks because they've not read the books or whatever, but there's still characters available out there that they haven't touched.
Right. But remember, you want to flip those characters on their head. So Thrawn would be a good guy, or Thrawn would be somebody totally different, right? A bounty hunter or something like that, not necessarily the big bad. And so it's different. Like, what main characters that are good would you flip and switch over to them? And I mean, there's definitely still characters out there, like you pointed out, but how do you do that to give a story and an arc where you have that, that kind of evilness to, or that dark side presence, if you will, to counterbalance all of the good that we now have, going on in the show.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have Poe. I mean, we didn't have Finn.
Yeah, we didn't have Finn or Poe. Yeah.
We didn't have Kylo Ren. Although, like, but again, what's his name? Yeah. Dev was kind of like the Kylo Ren character.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they all kind of are the same, right? When
it's
you
just be like the bad
I'm
boy
so
character.
conflicted. Yeah, and then the family element. So again, what do you do that's going to make it different?
Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren, like the bros of, like they actually embrace the boy band.
Yeah,
now that
right.
would
They're
be
like
great.
A singing band. Yeah,
that would be fantastic. Where they actually brought the Knights of Ren in, and they're actually a boy band.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure someone's got a better story than this crap that we're throwing out there. But it's.
Could you imagine that? Like they all are all in sync every single time they do any kind of movements, and they say things in song.
You're onto something, man. Pitch it.
I am.
Call Kathleen right now. You have her on your.
Oh, that's right. Okay, it's me. Yeah. Yeah. It's JoJo. What's up,
JoJo?
Don't ever call me that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's now going to be your name, so I don't know what you're expecting. You threw it out there.
Yeah, I did it to myself.
You did it to yourself. But all right, so yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen this, I definitely recommend it. I mean,
it's fun.
It's 4 episodes for each season. Each episode's about 20 minutes after you remove everything. So I get it. It's it's not like something you could just kind of sit down and watch once, but it's totally worth it. And if you're a fan of like the deep cuts and you've got all the lines memorized, like most of us, if you're listening to this, you do, I'm sure. You'll get it. There's so many things that we just glossed over or didn't have time to talk about, but it's absolutely worth your time. And I am looking forward to a third one. It feels like just the right thing to do because Star Wars does things in threes, and we had the first one that was kind of hopeful, and then we had the second one that was a little bit darker, and where the third one goes, I don't know. The other 2 things I'm asking are, I need some Lego sets. I'd like to see more of Lego sets from this series. It feels like, hey, you've already done it. You've done the marketing, the dog and pony show. You've shown us what we want. Now give it to us. And I want to see.
Which set do you want?
I want like the Porgs. Like, give me
you want the Porgos?
The space. Okay. Oh, by the way, that when they were in their hyperspace, that was a really cool effect. The way they had all the Lego parts making the tunnel. Yeah, which hyperspace in itself was really interesting to see as Lego too. But I think they've done it before a couple different ways, but this one looked just brilliant the way they did it. But yeah, I mean, there are some Lego sets that I want, and then I want people to dress up. I want to see the cosplays for a lot of these characters. I think that would be hilarious to see at Celebration. So maybe in 2 years' time, we'll have a third one out by then, and people will be, bringing us the goods. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know who brings the goods every single week, Albert?
Maybe our Patreon members.
Yeah, Patreon members, and thank you to all of them. Yeah, thanks for all the continued support. Also, our amazing folks in the live stream tonight: Alex, Skywalker's Academy, Wonder vs. CPU, Hard Countered, my Star Wars guys, and Steph. We appreciate everyone coming out. CantinaCast.com/YouTube. If you'd like to come out and visit the show, drop us a like. Let us know a comment if you watch this. Like, what is your favorite moment? What was your favorite Easter egg that you came out and saw? And then, of course, continue. Thanks to all of our Patreon folks. We certainly appreciate your continued support.
And you know what's just around the corner?
Visions Volume 3.
Visions Volume 3. So we've
trailer
got
dropped this past week.
Yeah, the trailer looked great. We've got some things to talk about there. We've got definitely want to talk about the Ninth Jedi before that gets rolling. So some more shows on the way for all that. I'm really looking forward to that series. And then we get nothing for a while. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a dry zone there for a bit.
All right, Jonesy. Any other, everybody's calling you Jojo, sorry. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, let's get out of here.
All right. And with that, we'll see you guys here on the next episode.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.